In 1979, a low-budget Australian action film roared onto the screen, reshaping the future of cinematic car chases and dystopian storytelling. Mad Max wasn't just a movie. It was a high-speed gamble powered by grit, creativity, and raw determination. Behind the smoke and screeching tires, a storm of wild improvisation, unexpected casting twists, and near-impossible stunts unfolded. From backroom edits to record-breaking profits, these are the untold secrets that fueled its legend. Buckle up as we explore 25 hidden truths that made Mad Max a road warrior for the ages. Number 1, accidental hero. Sometimes destiny takes the wheel when you least expect it. Long before becoming an international star, Mel Gibson had no intention of auditioning for the role that would define his career. In fact, his only reason for visiting the casting call was to support his friend Steve Bisley, who was trying out for a part. The night before, Gibson had been caught up in a barroom scuffle, leaving his face swollen and bruised. When the casting team saw him, they suggested he return in a few weeks for an entirely different reason. They were looking for rough-looking extras. By the time Gibson came back, his injuries had healed, revealing his natural, youthful charisma. The filmmakers asked him to read for the lead role of Max Rokitansky, and the chemistry was instant. That unexpected twist of fate didn't just land Gibson a role, it set him on a path to stardom. Despite earning only $10,000 for his performance, the impact of his portrayal in Mad Max would echo through film history for decades to come. Number 2, Doctor-turned-director. Before the roar of engines and the chaos of stunt work, there was the calm precision of a medical professional. George Miller, co-writer and director of Mad Max, spent his early career in the emergency room, treating severe road accident victims. Those intense real-world encounters shaped the film's gritty tone, ensuring the on-screen action felt raw and authentic. Operating on a shoestring budget of roughly $400,000, Miller often found himself short on funds. To keep production alive, he worked weekend ER shifts, channeling his earnings directly into the movie. The routine was exhausting. Long hospital nights followed by equally demanding days on set. But it kept the project moving forward when it could have stalled completely. This rare blend of medicine and movie making grounded Mad Max in reality. Every crash, every tense roadside moment carried the weight of Miller's first-hand experience, giving the fictional wasteland a pulse of genuine danger and urgency. Number 3, Pie and Beer. When a film's budget is stretched to its limits, creativity becomes a form of currency. During the making of Mad Max, there was simply not enough money to pay every extra in cash. Instead, some background performers agreed to work for an unusual form of payment: slabs of beer. This arrangement was more than a cost-cutting measure. It reflected the scrappy, community-driven nature of production. Many of those appearing in crowd scenes were friends, acquaintances, or local volunteers who were just excited to be part of something unique. For them, the beer wasn't just a reward. It was a story to share about their time on set. The decision might seem odd today, but on a shoot where every dollar had to be stretched and every resource reused, it was one of many inventive solutions that kept the cameras rolling. In its own way, that beer helped fuel the energy that made Mad Max such a high-octane experience. Number 4, prop theft artistry. Resourcefulness became a hallmark of the Mad Max production, and nowhere was it more apparent than in the work of the art department. With barely enough money for essentials, the team had to get creative when dressing sets. Instead of purchasing every sign, crate, or prop they needed, they quietly borrowed items from real stores and local businesses. The method was simple. Take the items overnight, use them for the day's shoot, and return them before anyone noticed they were missing. Milk crates, signage, and other set dressing were whisked away and then carefully replaced, leaving the shops exactly as they had been. It was a move born out of necessity, but it gave Mad Max an authentic, lived-in look that couldn't have been faked with cheap imitations. The end result was a world that felt gritty, real, and just a little dangerous. Perfect for the film's chaotic, high-octane atmosphere. Number 5. Filming without permits. On the set of Mad Max, creativity wasn't just in the story, it was in the production itself. Without the funds to secure official road closure permits, the crew resorted to bold tactics. They would block off stretches of road themselves, film the scene as quickly as possible, and move on before drawing too much attention. This risky approach could have ended the shoot if authorities had intervened. But instead of shutting them down, local police became intrigued. Recognizing the ambition behind the project, officers began to assist, officially closing roads to ensure scenes could be filmed safely. What began as a daring workaround turned into a surprising partnership. It saved the production valuable time and money, while adding to the legend of a film that thrived on turning obstacles into opportunities. It was just one more way Mad Max proved that sometimes bending the rules can pave the road to success. Number 6. Ride or Die cast. Authenticity wasn't just a goal for Mad Max. It was a necessity to bring the film's biker gang to life. The production hired real motorcycle club members instead of professional actors for many of the gang roles. These riders came with their own bikes, their own riding styles, and an air of genuine unpredictability. The commitment didn't stop at the casting call. The gang rode their motorcycles from Sydney to the Melbourne filming locations, using the trip to rehearse their group presence on the road. By the time cameras rolled, their camaraderie and confidence as a gang felt completely natural because it was real. This decision added a layer of grit and danger that couldn't have been faked. The sight of an actual tight-knit group of bikers tearing through the Australian landscape gave Mad Max an edge that still resonates decades later, making every gang scene pulse with authenticity. Number 7. Hollywood lens scrap. Some of the most striking visuals in Mad Max came from equipment that was far from top off the line. The production team acquired leftover anamorphic lenses from the Steve McQueen film The Getaway. These lenses had seen better days, and only one of them worked perfectly. The crew had to carefully plan each shot, making sure the usable lens was in place for the most important scenes. When the damaged lenses were used, they often created quirks in the image that gave the film a slightly warped, gritty look, perfect for its raw, post-apocalyptic tone. What could have been a serious limitation instead became part of the movie's unique visual signature. Those imperfect Hollywood cast-offs helped shape the look of Mad Max, proving once again that creativity often thrives under constraint. Number 8. Homemade editing suite. Post-production for Mad Max didn't happen in a fancy studio. It happened in George Miller's own home. With the budget too tight to rent professional editing facilities, Miller turned his kitchen into an editing room. The clatter of film reels joined the everyday sounds of home life. Co-producer Byron Kennedy set up in the living room, working on the sound design, while Miller pieced the film together frame by frame. It was a laborious process that stretched over a year, requiring patience, precision, and a lot of improvisation. The result of this homemade operation was a film that felt as raw and unpolished as the world it portrayed, but in the best way possible. The authenticity and urgency that came from this grassroots post-production process became part of Mad Max's lasting charm. Number 9. Nightmarish score. The unsettling tone of Mad Max wasn't created by visuals alone. Composer Brian May, not to be confused with Queen guitarist, crafted a jagged, tension-filled score that kept audiences on edge from the opening frame to the closing credits. Instead of sweeping melodic themes, May relied on sharp bursts of brass, eerie strings, and sudden silences to amplify the film's sense of unease. This approach mirrored the unpredictable nature of the wasteland and its dangerous inhabitants, making viewers feel constantly off balance. His work elevated the film's tension without overshadowing the gritty visuals, cementing the soundtrack as one of the most memorable elements of Mad Max and a crucial factor in its lasting impact. Number 10. Unintentional duck and cover. When Mad Max was prepared for its U.S. release, the distributors made a surprising choice. They replaced every line of dialogue with American accented dubbing. The concern was that American audiences might find the Australian voices too hard to understand, potentially hurting the film's appeal. This meant that even Mel Gibson's voice was swapped out, giving the movie a noticeably different sound for overseas viewers. While some fans later sought out the original track for its authenticity, the dubbed version became the default for many early U.S. home video releases. The decision remains one of the more unusual localization efforts in cinema history, altering the tone of Mad Max for an entire audience while leaving the visuals untouched.